Have you ever wondered why, despite our country's incredible potential, we often seem to be stuck in a cycle of problems? From bumpy roads to underfunded hospitals, many of these issues trace back to one single, pervasive problem: corruption. Today, we're going to take a hard, honest look at the state of corruption in the Philippines, why it matters so much, and what we can actually do about it. So, where do we stand right now? Let's look at the numbers. According to the Corruption Perceptions Index from Transparency International, the Philippines scored a low 34 out of 100 in 2023. To put that in perspective, 0 means highly corrupt and 100 is very clean. Our score is well below the global average of 43 and the Asia-Pacific average of 45. In terms of ranking, we were 115th out of 180 countries. While we've seen tiny shifts, the reality is we are lagging behind many of our neighbors. But this isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about what's happening on the ground. A recent United Nations review pointed out that corruption remains pervasive in all branches of government and in the wider public sector. The very institutions designed to fight it, like the Office of the Ombudsman and the Commission on Audit, are often underfunded and overwhelmed. They simply don't have the resources to effectively investigate all the allegations that come their way. So how does this corruption show up in our daily lives? We see it in overpriced and poorly built infrastructure projects. Think about those flood control systems that don't actually control floods. Reports have highlighted how these projects are often vehicles for massive kickbacks, leaving citizens with substandard services and wasted public money. It's also present in complex government red tape, where navigating simple processes can feel impossible without paying a little extra. This system of discretionary power and weak transparency creates the perfect breeding ground for graft. To put it bluntly, while there have been some small improvements, the problem is systemic. It's deeply embedded in many levels of our government, and the mechanisms meant to stop it are struggling. This isn't just a political issue, it's a social and economic crisis that affects every single Filipino. So, why should you and I care so deeply about this? First and foremost, corruption destroys public trust. A healthy democracy relies on citizens believing that their government is working for them. When that trust is gone, everything starts to fall apart. Effective public service becomes impossible. Second, it drains our nation's resources. Every peso siphoned away through a corrupt deal is a peso that could have gone to building a new classroom, buying medicine for a public hospital, or providing aid to farmers. It's a direct theft from the pockets of the Filipino people, especially the most vulnerable. When a budget for a new bridge is diverted, it's not just concrete and steel that's lost. It's the opportunity for a community to connect to markets, for kids to get to school safely, and for lives to improve. This creates a vicious cycle. Weak accountability allows for more corruption, which in turn further weakens our institutions. For a country where millions live in or near poverty, the cost is devastating, both economically and socially. It holds back our development, creates inequality, and robs us of the future we deserve. This isn't an abstract problem happening in some far-off office. It is the reason a family might not have access to clean water, or why a talented student can't afford a proper education. The situation might seem bleak, but it is not hopeless. The path to fixing this is clear, though challenging. The real question is whether we have the collective will to follow it. Let's talk about solutions. First, we need to strengthen our institutions. The bodies tasked with fighting corruption, the Ombudsman, the Commission on Audit, and our courts need to be fully independent, well-funded, and equipped with the right technical expertise. A recent UN review emphasized this point. We also need to see high-level corruption cases fought. When powerful figures are held accountable, it sends a powerful message that no one is above the law. Furthermore, we must strengthen protection for whistleblowers. The brave individuals who expose corruption are often putting their lives and careers on the line. They need to be supported and kept safe. The second major strategy is to increase transparency and reduce opportunities for shady dealings. One of the most effective ways to do this is through digitization. As Senate President Francis Escudero wisely said, "Minimize discretion. You minimize corruption." When government transactions like permits and procurement are done online, there's a clear digital trail. It's much harder to ask for a bribe when everything is traceable. We also need to publish data on government contracts and budgets, making it accessible to the public. Citizen oversight is a powerful deterrent. Simplifying regulations is another key step. The more complex and confusing the process, the more chances there are for officials to demand illegal fees. Next, we need legal and regulatory reforms. This includes passing laws that reveal who truly owns the companies bidding for government projects. We can't hold people accountable if they can hide behind anonymous shell corporations. We also need to reform campaign finance laws. When running for office is incredibly expensive, politicians can become indebted to their donors, and they may be tempted to use their power to repay those favors through corrupt deals. Strengthening our anti-money laundering laws is also critical to stop public funds from being funneled into hidden accounts. But laws and systems are only part of the solution. We also need a cultural shift. This starts with education. We should embed anti-corruption and ethics education in our schools and in public service training. We need to make integrity the standard, not the exception. The media and public campaigns can help change social norms, making corruption something that is seen as shameful and unacceptable by everyone. We as citizens must be empowered. When we know our rights and have access to information, we can hold our officials accountable. This applies to the local level too. Corruption isn't just a national problem, it happens in our own towns and cities. Finally, none of this works without genuine political will and leadership by example. Our leaders must model integrity. Public speeches against corruption mean nothing if actions don't follow. As Senator Escudero also stated, the battle is one which we cannot lose. We need institutionalized checks and balances that hold everyone, including the highest officials, accountable. Now, we have to be realistic about the challenges. Reform is incredibly difficult because powerful, entrenched interests benefit from the current broken system. Political dynasties, patronage, and weak enforcement all work together to resist change. Even when we have good laws, they are sometimes enforced selectively or not at all. Transparency alone isn't enough. It must be paired with real consequences like prosecution and asset recovery. And technology is a helpful tool, but it's not a magic bullet. Ultimately, it comes down to human behavior and institutional culture. After years of disappointment, many citizens feel cynical and powerless, which makes it harder to mobilize public engagement. So, where does that leave us? Corruption in the Philippines is a deep, systemic challenge. Our global rankings confirm what we feel every day. We have made very little meaningful progress. The cost in stolen funds, in eroded trust, and in human sufferings too high to ignore. But the path forward is clear. It requires a combination of strong institutions, radical transparency, citizen engagement, legal reform, and leadership that truly leads by example. It's about combining top-down reforms from the government with bottom-up pressure from us, the citizens. If we can build a movement that demands accountability from everyone, not just low-level clerks, but high-ranking officials too, then meaningful change is not just possible, it's within our grasp. The cost of failure is a future we can't afford. The time for action is now. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to understand this critical issue. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the issues that matter to all of us. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below.